Welcome to another episode of Smash Writing. I'm your host, Paul. We are trucking along. Justin's getting better. We're going to, pandemic still going on. We're just trying to make the most of what we have to work with. So let's roll with it. Today's episode, it's a topic that I had in my mind for since we started the show last year, and I wanted to talk about it in variations because you can take a long idea and break it up into different parts and do that. So this is kind of like a general. This ain't like your top 10 or your rankings and stuff like that. This is today's episode, as you can see in the title, is Easter eggs. I'm not talking about the ones during Easter. If you're a moviegoer, you know what an Easter egg is. For the general public, let me explain. An Easter egg in a film is basically sending you, there is an object or a message or a scene or a person that can lead to later events. Or connect something and you didn't know it was connected. And you're like, oh, or yeah, I see where they're going. But an Easter egg also has to be purposely planted for it to be an Easter egg, in the sense of something has to come out of it. Or at least in my eyes, because this makes sense, it can't be an Easter egg because I can tell you Spider-Man is going to walk through that door, and I can say that, and you're like, oh, he's going to be in a Spider-Man movie. That's an Easter egg. It is to a degree, but if I'm just saying it, then it's not an Easter egg. It's just there. It was meant to be said, meant to be heard. I'm talking about this topic today because I seen a couple weeks ago, they were looking through all the Easter eggs in the SpiderMan Trilogy from the Sam Raimi one, starring Tobey Maguire, the first Spider-Man series, and the debate is going on which is going to be a better Spider-Man series. Tom Holland one's with backing of Marvel, he has really taken off, and it's kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. But I seen going through social media, going through the clicks, and everything like that, and I started seeing oh, here's all the Easter eggs in the Spider-Man trilogy or Spider-Man film. Excuse me, I'm drinking Gatorade today. Show needs to have a sponsor. Come on, Gatorade. Just kidding. Gatorade Zero is pretty good. Just saying. I know it's changing its topic real quick, but it's pretty good. But apparently there's a lot of hidden Easter eggs in the Spider-Man trilogy. Now, it's no secret that Sam Raimi is going to be directing another Marvel film, this time with Marvel Studios, as you all know, Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse. Of course, this is opening the floodgates to, oh, they're going to do connections. It's going to be a multiverse, and we don't know the details regarding how is that going to play out. But in my mind, it all goes back to the Sony and Disney deal. And the thing is, the deal is pretty much, granted, it's Spider-Man and some revolving characters and stuff like that. But it's a deal that's on thin ice because Sony, mind you, Sony made this deal with Marvel in all reality behind closed doors to make money. They wanted it. That's why they're this whole deal was no, okay, you made a ton of money. And let's be perfectly honest. You watch the new Spider-Man films, Homecoming, Far From Home. They are truly a Marvel film. Sony It's like, well, we own the characters, so we're going to do something. And Marvel's like, hey, you had your chance with Spider-Man 3. You blew it. You had your chance with The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. You blew it. Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 had the same issues. And they were only like 6 years apart. No, sorry, 8 years apart. Less than 10 years. The same people were running the studio were still there. And they did it again. Again. And it was the fans' outcries that called for it to be given back to Marvel. Sony's like, no, because they were still making money off of it. No matter how bad, those Spider-Man films became after part 2 of the Tobey Maguire one, they were still bringing in money because fans wanted to see it. Spider-Man help, and I didn't say kick off, I said help kick off this whole comic book phase that we were in. With that being said, I seen these articles are like, oh, here's all the hidden Easter eggs. In my personal opinion, regarding all these Easter eggs that was in this Spider-Man, they were not for anything else. They weren't. Trust me, you go back to 2002. That is 18 years ago. They were just throwing it out there. They really were. They were not planning no... Now Sony wants a Spider-Verse and all of that, and that's why we have films like Venom, which was pretty good. That's why I got a Venom 2, which hopefully comes out. Morbius, they have that. They're doing stuff now with Spider-Man because it's fresh. It's banging. It's all of the positive things you want to say. But you have to be really, really desperate to go hunting back into the original series and go, oh, here's an Easter egg. Here's an Easter egg. There's an Easter egg. Okay. One of the Easter eggs, I believe, was from Spider-Man 2. Sam's brother, who was a quirky reporter in the Daily Bugle, when they were trying to give Doc Ock a name, because every villain has to have a name, he spoke out and said, Doctor Strange. JJ was like, no, it's taken. Which he implied, which is technically an Easter egg if they did something with it, was that they know there is a Doctor Strange. But this could also be paying homage to the comic books because Doctor Strange didn't happen until years later in a completely different studio. It's not an Easter egg. That's clickbait right there. Clickbait. Oh, let's go through all these Easter eggs in Spider-Man 2. They didn't turn out to be anything. Easter eggs generally have to serve a purpose. Yeah, there could be a bigger purpose, like, oh, hints at a sequel. Or it could be like a call-out. Not a call-out, but like, it's an item that you have to pay attention to at a later date. One of my best Easter egg scenes, honestly, you go back to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It's brief and sudden. And they talked about the spacecraft with astronauts that got lost into space. Can't find them. They were lost around Mars. Now we can't find them. That Easter egg was so, to me, like one of the best ones and so quick that it had to make you think real quick. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Wasn't there astronauts in the original series? This is a reboot, but more or less more of a prequel series, hence the names. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. So all these 3 films by Fox took place beforehand, and now Disney owns Fox, and supposedly there is something in the works for part 4. It might actually be, a true reboot at that point. But nevertheless, that Easter egg was planned. And now we won't see the Easter egg again for a while because those astronauts were still lost in the original, were still gone in this series. That's a pretty cool Easter egg. It was planned that way. Easter eggs are plans. Call-outs, shout-outs. Sam has stated that, he is a comic book fan. That's why he did Spider-Man. That's the evil did work. That's comic book, that's comic book stuff. Even though it was original, he is a comic book nerd like me. Most likely, if you're watching this, like you too. So having the Easter egg, saying there's Easter eggs in Spider-Man, it's not going to pan out. Now, if anything, because I got to cover my tracks for if I'm wrong. If they literally, meaning Sony, can work with Marvel/Disney for the foreseeable future, which we know right now is not going to happen because of the Spider-Man issues now has, taken effect. I would love to see more partnerships. Let me make that clear between studios and properties and all that, as long as it fits. But you have to understand, Sony wants to do their own thing, and they want to prove that it can do their own thing. I don't think you'll see another deal between them that's going to bring in a Doctor Strange. Now, supposedly, there were contracts or stipulations that said that Sony can use another character. But the details are, shady because, okay, if they're actually saying Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home were Sony films, but it takes place in the MCU, then the cameos were Iron Man and stuff like that. And that's kind of like a bummer. Yes, it was nice for the story, but it was a bummer for the fans. Do I see a Doctor Strange or Sony doing a lot more with Marvel, bringing in Doctor Strange here, go, oh, look, it was the callback, see? Yeah. No, it's not the same. It's not even the same series anymore. If they can go into do a multiverse thing, sure, that can be unique, but I don't see it happening because Sony's ego is no, we can't do wrong. That's their thinking. But to sit there and go back 18 years and go, oh, here's some Easter eggs. No, they were just call-outs. They meant nothing at the time, and they still mean nothing. J. Jonah in Spider-Man 2 said Doctor Strange's name was taken. Yeah, we know that, but that doesn't mean that Doctor Strange is going to appear into this multiverse. Could I be wrong? Part of me says, yeah, I hope I am wrong, actually, because it'll be super neat. But you guys have to understand, as much as it's entertainment, it's also business, too. And Sony's out to prove something, and, it sucks because I was curious about watching Morbius. I was pumped for Venom 2, with the appearance of Carnage. However, even though Woody Harrelson is a crazy enough actor for the job, I'm not the biggest fan of his hairdo for Carnage. It looks just too fake. But at the end of Venom, it was just nothing more than a cameo. So you don't really know much regarding that situation. But that's an Easter egg, though. An Easter egg gives you something for a later date. But you can't go back and make up Easter eggs. It's not how it works. Nothing came out of J. Jonah saying Doctor Strange's name is taken. It wasn't. Yes, he named another hero, but you didn't see Doctor Strange in Spider-Man 3, did you? Or the canceled Spider-Man 4, did you? Or even the Amazing Spider-Man, did you? Or the Amazing Spider-Man 2, did you? No! You can't find something and make it an Easter egg. It has to be put in there for something to happen in another film, a later date. And don't you dare say, well, Doctor Strange did happen. Yeah. In the MCU, not in Sony stuff. And like I says, would you really be calling out this stuff if there was no deal right now that's kind of on thin ice between Sony and Marvel? No. But, like I says, when it comes down to it, an Easter egg has to serve a purpose besides being a call-out. Or else, it's not an Easter egg. You can't make it if it's not. And I'm sorry, I had to vent. I really did. Because when I see topics like that pop up and I click on them, I read, and I go, okay, you're far-fetching, I have to vent. And I hope you guys feel the same way and appreciate what a real Easter egg in a film is. So, yeah. But until next time, I'm your host, Paul, and this is your... Oh, yeah, Justin's not here. But when he comes back, he will be with us, and, we're already going to... We're going to be brainstorming ideas for our next set of episodes and go from there. So until next week, be safe.